What's up, humans? And welcome to a new Psicoactivo today. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope everybody's doing okay. To those of you who remember, I was graciously invited to Dr. Jacobo Grinberg's event after 30 years of his disappearance. Dr. Àlex Gómez-Marín was the one who invited me. I want to thank Alex for doing so. It was a unique and very, very moving experience for me. It's been a year since I introduced myself into the English speaking community, talking about psi phenomena, the UFO phenomenon, ancient civilizations, the Nazca mummies, all the stuff that I cover. Just yesterday, we had a really, really interesting video dropping for you guys about a rock from Colombia that is allegedly interstellar. And I spoke to many scientists who have studied this rock and similar ones, and they all agree that it is anomalous and it is worth studying. So that's really cool. The versatility of the topics that come my way, I don't know why it's happening that way, but I'm really grateful to everyone who's responding well to the investigations that I do, to the interviews that I do. I will always be grateful to you. Thank you. But this event with multiple very interesting people, some of them were Dr. Jeffrey Mishlove from New Thinking Aloud. He showed a very, very interesting image of Dr. Andrea Puharich and Shaman Pachita. I'm going to show it to you guys here, but that was a new image that I wasn't expecting to see. I will do a video separately of Dr. Mishlove's presentation, but I am going to show the picture here. This proves that Puharich was already very much in contact with the same shaman that Dr. Grinberg was in contact with, and he was studying her too. That can give us a link between Grinberg and Puharich. That may have been the first time both of them became acquainted with each other. But I'm going to be doing separate videos for each person who presented, or the ones that I think are the most suitable for this channel. The very first one that I'm going to do is a doctor named Inés Urdaneta. She's part of the International Space Federation. She's a multi-published research physicist in the domain of light matter interaction at the atomic, molecular, and nanosolid state scales. She earned a PhD in physics at the Institute of Molecular Sciences of Orsay, ISMO, University of South Paris. She worked in several universities and research projects throughout France, the USA, Mexico, and Venezuela. She presented right before me, and I want to show you guys one of the first actual holographic theories that have been done using Dr. Grinberg's Syntergic theory. And Dr. Urdaneta talks about how this theory is definitely a key part of her own theory. And I am going to dare say that many of the people who are doing theories about the holographic principle and this grid of information could use or add the Syntergic theory, and it will work or be more coherent than without it. I'm going to dare say that right now, but I am going to show you both Dr. Urdaneta's presentation and my presentation, consecutive ones. At the end of the presentation, Alex read a piece of the of Dr. Jacobo Grinberg's autobiography, and that really made a lot of people cry because it is one of the most beautiful pieces of literature that I've ever heard or read. I'm going to play that to you guys also at the end. But for now, I leave you with Dr. Inés Urdaneta and my presentation on the Pari Center's 30 years of Jacobo Grinberg's work. I hope you enjoy.
Okay, now we have Inés Urdaneta. Inés is a good friend. He's actually one of the first people I met when I was undergoing that attempt to connect with the Grinberg spirit, if you may. And Francisco Gómez-Marín actually introduced me to her first, and then I got to know the rest of the community. Inés is a very special physicist. She's a theoretical physicist specialized in light matter interactions. She works at the International Space Federation right now. And she's also, I would dare to say, a very mystical theoretical physicist, because what she's pursuing is a unification of the incompatible big branches of physics, is also sprinkled with these, I may say, esoteric, deep spiritual meaning. I'm very happy she's here with us, and adelante. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So, well, at this moment, I'm in a place where we're also celebrating Jacobo Grinberg's, anniversary, and many things are going on this side in Mexico City. So, yeah, the thing is, so I'm still overwhelmed by what Marina was showing. So it's kind of like, wow. Okay, so I think the idea would be like to stop dividing science and spirituality. That would be like our goal finally, like how to reunite these two worlds which have been separated for so long. Because probably well, many things have happened in the meantime, but we all, now that mainstream science has gone into a dead end, which is dark mass and dark energy, which is 96% of the universe, then we have, it's like the physics we know that we have done for so long, it's just 4% of what we know, and it's really not even that, because you have to take into account that matter is 99.999 in a space, so it's much less than that. So this is giving us a huge like playground where to find answers and to think about new ways of connecting things. What I liked about, okay, so I'm working in a theory which is a unified field theory. This unified field theory is based on understanding what is the lattice that Jacobo Grinberg also talks about in this theory of Syntergic theory. So this lattice is an holographic fractal matrix or lattice, and we get to describe through this theory the many properties of this lattice, and this lattice is deeply entangled through one particle that we are so used to hear about that we wouldn't even believe it, and that's the proton. So the proton itself is a holographic unit. You have to see the whole theory to understand why we call it the holographic unit, but in summary, it gathers the whole energy mass of the universe in each unit. So each proton contains the whole universe information, and it refreshes at a speed of much far faster than the speed of light, and we can calculate that. Everything that I'm going to say now is done through equations. It's modeling. It's first principle calculations. There's no adjusting parameters. So this is very, very, very solid. And so what we have found is that this holographic unit, which is the proton, is deeply entangled to all other protons in the universe. So this would work as a node of the nodes of a network. So we can firmly say that the universe is basically an entangled network, or a network of entanglement through these protons and the way they are connected through wormholes. And we could go very technical about all of this, but what I think it's important to understand is that when we have this dichotomy between spirituality and materialism, let's say, materialistics think are like comfortable saying, oh, everything is just on matter, but you have to really understand what matter is. If you go deep into what matter is, then you see that matter, okay, let's go deep into what the matter that you're talking about, the neurons and all of that really is, then you'll see that it is deeply entangled, that its units are the protons, which compose all of matter, and these units are deeply entangled, these protons. So you can understand that this is the way the information flows through all the systems and through scales as well. And when you understand how this information flows through scales, and this is what the theory is also providing, then you can see that this information flow creates feedback loops. It's a network of feedbacks going back and forth, processing information. And when you have that, you can see that there's a way of creating organization. The universe is extremely organized. Biology is extremely organized, but that's happening because this is a feedback feed-forward mechanism where you have this organization going on and auto-organization going on, and consciousness then also comes into play here, because this information flow is also, of course, concerning the way that information goes from one entity and up to this entity itself. So when you have this complexity in biology, this is just complexifying the network of feedback feed forward so that you can have a deeper experience of a self. Okay, but this is all very interconnected. What I think that there's many more aspects, but what I'm describing here is extremely like technical or mechanical. But you can also understand that this entanglement goes way beyond the mechanical aspects of the protons and what they do and how they flow, or on how the information flows. Like, for instance, what Marina just explained is also talking about a poetical level, because we have like the mechanical level, which is the product of forces, fields and forces. These interactions create particles, they create forces and fields and all of that. And you can say that that's a mechanical description. But also you can say that this has multiple layers, and there are layers in which the poetical is also achieved. So the poetical is what we just saw with Marina's, this materialization of objects and their meaning. What do they mean? So if you think about the universe as a mind, which is what we're basically implying, that the universe is like a mind, a universal mind, then you have subminds, which are these nodes, which is black holes, basically. A proton in its core has got a black hole, and the sun in its core has got a black hole, and they're all in a very particular relationship, a fractal holographic relationship that we develop as well, that we find in the theory. And these all are just processing information. They're just organizing, processing information, and they're the nuclei of the organization of matter in the universe. And so you can find cognitive aspects of it. You can find that this system is learning, is creating like new ways of understanding. It is a living entity, and so in that sense, you can say that it's got multiple layers, in which some layers are mechanical, and other layers are much more philosophical, poetical, and so on. So basically, the theory is called holofractographic theory, and it's a unified field theory, and it's unifying science and consciousness in a very straightforward way, and in a very scientific way, rigorous way. Science likes mathematics and all of that, but there's no just in parameters. And a first paper just came out, which is called "The Origin of Mass and the Nature of Gravity," which explains this materialistic aspect of reality. Okay, but that is just the basis, the foundations to what's going coming further on. And so I don't want to spend that much like time, because I think you've all had a lot of information. So I'm just going to point you to this theory, the holographic theory from Nassim Haramein and the International Space Federation. We're a group of physicists, nuclear physicists, fluid physicists, and biologists. We are consolidated as a team. And well, I invite you all to revise our papers, our website, and get more involved into what we're doing, because it's got many layers and it's got a huge amount of implications. And one of them, the way I got into Jacobo Grinberg theory, and the way I was approached by Francisco Gómez-Marín, because he was following the work of ISF at that time, called Resonance Science Foundation, and he felt that because it's a holographic theory, he said that this would fall perfectly in place with the Syntergic theory, and I think he was correct. I think that this is really a very good framework if you want to understand like the mechanisms behind many of the processes that you call consciousness and psychic abilities and all of that. So this is a very good starting point and a connection between these two realms of consciousness and science. So yeah, that would be my presentation.
Thank you very much, Inés.
You're welcome.
Thank you
all.
dropping out of the other event. I'm so happy there are more celebrations going on today.
Yeah, this is really nice, in a very nice place here. It's a school, a very special school with geodesics, and it's a very out of this mainstream, educational formal school. So yeah, very significant place.
Well, thank you for bringing the theoretical physics aspect to this celebration today. And I really endorse your thought of what's the matter with matter. Because all of us who are trying to go beyond materialism, I suspect at the end of the day will come back to a transfigured kind of materialism where we'll understand that matter is not what the card-carrying materialists tell us. So in a way, they're subestimating matter, and so
Exactly.
I think your work will help that.
Yeah.
Very good.
Hopefully. Thank you all.
Thank you, Inés. Un fuerte abrazo.
Un abrazo. Gracias.
Ciao. Okay.
Ciao.
We now continue with Pavel Ibarra. I got to know Pavel a few months ago. He approached me and we had a couple or maybe 3, I don't remember now, online discussions in his podcast. He's the host of the Psicoactivo podcast. And it's very important to have Pavel here too, because this is not just about theory and experiments, which are two very important legs in the stool, the stool of science, but all of this needs to go into the media and needs to be told to people who are not practicing scientists, and needs to be told in an engaging way, in a creative way. And that's what Pavel does. I've learned a lot from him. I've been inducted into the rabbit hole of UAPs because of him. And so as you'll see, he's also been investigating Jacobo Grinberg and all these different topics we've been covering today. And I'm delighted that he also agreed to participate in this remembering of Jacobo. Pavel, adelante.
Thank you for having me, man. Thank you to everyone who's in here. Can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I reached out to Àlex a few months ago when I started looking at some of his videos with Dr. Mishlove. I saw one, and then I saw him talking about Jacobo's books. The way I got into all of this really started when I was a preteen, because I grew up in a family that my mother always wanted us to read constantly. And there was a time when she brought a shaman to my house. And this shaman performed a healing ceremony where he materialized a little piece of rock inside of my mouth. And from that moment forward, I went through many rabbit holes throughout my life. And during my 20s, I became a psychedelic experiencer for a decade. And I went through a lot of different psi phenomena that I still couldn't explain until I stumbled on Jacobo Grinberg in 2021. That's when it clicked. A lot of the stuff that happened to me, I was like, this is exactly what happened to me. But I want to know how I can really explain it. So I decided to create a podcast. And 80% of the responsibility for this is because of Jacobo. So I truly believe after a year of presenting this, his work and examining multiple phenomena that we are like on the brink of a paradigm shift. We're about to something's going to happen. We're all reaching a singularity, and the fact that we are now seeing so many phenomena happening of different types. It's not just psi phenomena. It's not just UFOs. There's a lot of stuff that if you go and really talk to people in front of them and ask them, they've all experienced something. So, and I think that Jacobo's work is at the very center of it, because I believe that part of this reaching a singularity has also to do with us reaching the next stage in our evolution as people. And that's why I think that this work is central to everything, because it doesn't really matter at the end of the day if we're alone in the universe or not. I happen to think we're not, but I also happen to think that if we get to understand how we work as an organism, as we truly work, none of that will matter, because we are the ones that are creating the whole shebang, you know? And I happen to have Ida here visiting me, Ida Cuellar, about a month ago, and we had a wonderful experience. We recorded one of these podcasts on the road from Ensenada to Tijuana. We went through Rosarito, where Jacobo Grinberg's wife's family used to live. And it was all a whole massive synchronicity that I truly, thoroughly enjoyed. And the one experience that I could point and single out, that's because when that happened to me, and I'd already experienced stuff before, was a near-death experience that I had in 2014 during December. From that moment forward, something changed. I became much more ADHD than I usually was, because I do have ADHD since I was young. But since that moment, I started hyper focusing a lot more. And I think that is one of the triggers. This is one of my interpretations and beliefs of all the work that I've investigated of Jacobo. Stuff like this, near-death experiences, are one of the triggers that help people get more in tune with that side of their brain. That's what I believe. And I think that Jacobo's work was going to eventually move towards making us realize that our brain is a computer, and it is creating everything around it. And the fact that this experiment, this transfer potential experiment, talks about all of us being entangled, we do it. We already create the reality. That's why we're the way we are right now in the world, because we've gone through roads and paths that made us create this reality, and we are all doing it together. It's not just some actors and the whole world story. It's all of us. I also want to talk about Jacobo and some other scientists and parapsychologists who also did similar work to him. I can talk about Itzhak Bentov, who talked about the evolution of consciousness. I can talk about Dr. Donald Hoffman today, that he has a lot of different theories. Dr. Dean Radin. But Dr. Andrea Puharich was one of the scientists who fascinated me the most, because he actually was a colleague of Jacobo. There was a time when I just started the channel, a friend from Spain who likes the channel, Javier Marcote, he reached out to me telling me about these conferences that happened in the 80s and 90s. But as it turns out, they had been happening for about 100 years. By 1985, that was the 100-year anniversary. So there were conferences about phenomenology taking place in different parts of the world that included Jacobo, that included some people that I'm going to show you right now because I'm sharing my screen. Hold on. Okay. Where is it?
Should be at the bottom. You have an arrow pointing upwards inside a square.
There it is. Can you see that? So this first picture appeared in Ida Cuellar's documentary. That's the first time I saw it. It's obviously from somewhere else, but he included it in that documentary. Jacobo is right here. And then you got Jacques Vallée here. To those of you who know who Jacques Vallée is, he's one of the world's most famous and prominent ufologists. He was part of Project Blue Book with Dr. J. Allen Hynek. And when I saw this, I was like, how could I have missed this? This is weird. And I started investigating more and tried to ask some questions, because although I know that the way Jacobo disappeared is very controversial and maybe a difficult topic to talk about, I am very much interested in that story back then. What were they talking about? I wanted to be a fly on the wall, you know, as they say. Why are the most prominent ufologists and Jacobo and other type of phenomenologists doing conferences in the 80s talking about all of these things? And then there's another picture right here where you can see Jacques, you can see Jacobo right here. Next to Jacques, there's author John Keel, who is also one of the leading voices in ufology. But at the far left, you got Andrea Puharich. That's him. And this is also in the movie Ida Cuellar released. Then Dr. Mishlove already showed this picture. This is De Leon. I don't recall his name. I think Alex remembers the name. He was also Mexican, another parapsychologist who worked with Jacobo during that time. And this is Puharich too. And then I'm going to show you another two pictures that I was given by this man, Javier Marcote, who I think these have only been shown. The next picture I'm going to show you, this has only been shown in my channel, because I've seen it nowhere else. So this is Andrea Puharich right here, and this is Jacques Vallée right here. Jacobo is right here. Then you have Salvador Freixedo, those of you who know, Enrique Castillo and Ricardo Vilches, and they were all phenomenologists talking in those conferences. I am trying to talk to Dr. Vallée in the following year. And I've already corresponded with him, a couple of emails, but whatever he tells me, you guys are going to be first to see it in the channel. So that's going to be exciting. And the reason I want to talk to him is because this last picture that I'm going to show you appeared on the show Ancient Aliens. They were doing a story about Jacques Vallée's career. And it was very funny to me, because the people that I've talked to so far that are close to this, I've asked them, and some of them even were a little taken aback by me asking them about Jacobo. They didn't really like it. And I wasn't asking them about his disappearance, just about his work and about those conferences and what they talked about over there. This picture is the one that appeared. And that's when I realized, yeah, so they were, if not presenting together, definitely working together on something. And you guys already know the reference from Ida Cuellar's film. That's as far as we can go with, because a lot of that is from Clemente Padilla, the evidence he presented. But what I'm trying to do is just talk about those conferences. And a major component of this, I think, has to do with knowing how to report something to the media about these topics, because right now it's just 2%, about 2% of people in the world who are like more familiar with these topics. If you talk to the rest of them, most of them will immediately reject it or just not pay attention to it. And I think people in the media and journalists and citizen journalism has a responsibility to start talking about this in a way that is more inviting to people, so they can understand that this is a new reality that we're already going through. So that is one of the main goals Psicoactivo has. And talking to all of you, because I'm fascinated by a lot of these presentations. I already asked Alex to maybe connect me with the loads of you. So thank you very much. And thank you, Alex, for having me. That would be all for me. Good day.
Fantastico, Pavel. Thank you very much. And let me add that I wasn't only meaning that work like yours is to communicate ideas, but you're actually also doing research. And that's an example. Thank you again for showing us those pictures and the many things that are lost in the memory of time about with whom Jacobo met, what they talked about, and so on. I will finish reading a piece from this book, La Fuerza Vital del Cielo Anterior. It's in Spanish. Even if you don't speak Spanish, I believe you can hear it. Escribo en el exilio desde un planeta remoto y oscuro llamado Tierra, al que me ha enviado la jerarquía por haber querido violar la zona prohibida del universo. He vivido ya 11 vidas terrestres y no he podido retornar a mi lugar de origen. Algo en el enfoque magnificente de la divinidad estimuló un misterio que ninguna lección o sufrimiento han podido develar, y eso me mantiene prisionero en este lugar extraño y distante, regido por leyes que no coinciden con mi naturaleza celestial. Escribo como un intento más de compartir, porque eso es lo que he aprendido a hacer. Escribo porque recuerdo, y el recordar sin manifestarlo me ahoga. He aprendido a sobrevivir a pesar de todos los intentos de los habitantes de este planeta por moldearme a su estilo de vida. He conocido grandes sabios que han sido mis maestros, y el misterio de lo que esconde la mujer terrícola me ha fascinado a través de todas mis vidas. Me he vuelto conocido entre los habitantes de este planeta en diferentes épocas. Aparecí en la Biblia como Andrés, en los Yoga Sutras de Patanjali, en los escándalos de las cortes francesas del siglo XV y entre los grandes cabalistas de Safed. He decidido retornar a mi planeta de origen, cuésteme lo que me cueste. Y este escrito es un intento por sanear mi memoria y entender mi propio desarrollo. Confío que a través de su elaboración encuentre la llave perdida, el secreto procedimiento que ha de liberarme de esta cárcel planetaria y de sus habitantes. Pero no se interpreten mal mis palabras en el sentido de ausencia de cariño. Estoy profundamente agradecido con este planeta porque en él he vivido experiencias que en ninguna otra porción del universo se viven. Aquí he encontrado seres de todos los rumbos y con todas las tendencias. La mayor parte de ellos en olvido de sí mismos, pero otros con la cabeza en alto y recordándose. Las humillaciones me han exaltado después de sumirme en la desesperación, y poco a poco he ido retornando al amor hacia mí mismo. Encuentro que incluyo a todas mis vivencias y nada puede definirme. Fluyo, en cambio, hasta que vuelvo a encontrar algo no resuelto, y en él me quedo y retorno hasta que lo considero también mío. En esta expansión comienzo a reconocerme con el todo, y cada vez mi existencia separada desaparece para dar lugar a alguien más cercano a mí mismo. Pero este mí mismo no es ni un anhelo ni tampoco un pensamiento. Se asemeja más a un sentimiento que incluye todos los estados, todas las emociones y aún los dolores que experimento. De todo ello estoy agradecido a esta correccional de los exiliados del universo. A no dudarlo, en ocasiones he sido muy feliz aquí y casi he decidido quedarme, pero tengo un llamado y no puedo dejar de oírlo. Si he aprendido lo necesario y si ya es mi tiempo, eso quizás también yo lo decido, pero sé que no estoy solo y que el Padre amorosísimo existe. A Él me remito y que solo Él me juzgue. Jacobo Grinberg. Bendito seas, Jacobo, allí donde sea que te encuentres ahora. Que sepas que no te olvidamos y que honramos y honraremos tu legado. Gracias y hasta siempre. Good night, everyone.
Yeah. So that was the presentation. There are lots more that I'm going to be rolling out for you guys. But I just want you to think about this theory that Dr. Urdaneta talked about. And I want you to just see the other theories that are out there, similar to this one, and see if we can integrate the Syntergic theory to them. If it's possible, I think we can do something meaningful and probably groundbreaking. I truly believe that. But for now, I'm going to leave you. If you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon. If you want to support the channel in any other way, I'm going to leave a few links in the description so you can take your pick. Every help is always appreciated, so thank you. And without further ado, I'll see you guys until tomorrow's video. Bye.